Imagine living in a country so divided that families split apart, states broke away, and Americans fought each other. A country where arguments over freedom, rights, and humanity pushed the nation to the brink of destruction. In the middle of this chaos stood a tall man from a quiet log cabin. Not a king, not a military hero, but a former lawyer who believed deeply in fairness and democracy. That man was Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Today, I will be informing you about Abraham Lincoln, the leader whose courage and decisions transformed the nation. According to historian Doris Kearns Goodwin, Lincoln led with extraordinary empathy and resilience, guiding America through one of the toughest crises in its history. I will cover Lincoln's early life and leadership, the causes of the Civil War and how he handled them, and finally, the lasting impact of his actions, including the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment. Lincoln's early life and character. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in a one-room log cabin in Kentucky. His family was extremely poor, and he had almost no access to formal education. According to National Park Service, Lincoln attended school for about 1 year total, but he educated himself by reading every book he could find after long days of farm work. Growing up, Lincoln worked as a rail splitter, a store clerk, a postmaster, a surveyor, and eventually a lawyer. These experiences taught him honesty, discipline, and compassion, qualities people would later admire during his presidency. Historian Eric Foner explains that Lincoln believed democracy meant real opportunity for the common people, not just the wealthy. His background as someone who started with nothing shaped him into a leader who deeply understood injustice and the struggles of ordinary Americans. Why the Civil War began? The Civil War did not erupt overnight. It grew from decades of conflict over slavery and states' rights. Slavery, by definition, is the forced ownership and labor of another human being. By 1860, slavery was the backbone of the Southern economy. According to the Civil War Trust, nearly 4 million enslaved people lived in the United States at the time, almost all of them being in the South. As new Western territories joined, Americans fiercely argued, should these new states allow slavery? The North said no, the South said yes. This dispute created national tension and deep distrust. When Lincoln was elected president in 1860, Southern leaders feared he would abolish slavery, even though Lincoln's initial goal was to preserve the Union, not immediately end slavery. Because of this fear, 11 Southern states seceded and formed the Confederate States of America. By April 1861, the Civil War had begun, and Lincoln found himself leading a fractured nation on the brink of destruction. Leading the nation through the Civil War was one of the most difficult jobs any president has ever faced. Lincoln dealt with an unprepared army, political criticism, military losses, and personal tragedy when his son Willie died in 1862. Despite the pressure, he never abandoned his belief that the Union must survive. His leadership style was unusual. He wasn't loud or commanding. Instead, he led through humility, honesty, and clear communication. One example of this is the Gettysburg Address. According to the Library of Congress, this short 272-word speech is still considered one of the greatest in American history because of its simple but powerful message about freedom and democracy. But Lincoln's leadership wasn't only about speeches. He made decisions that reshaped the meaning of war itself. On January 1st, 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. According to the National Archives, this document declared enslaved people in the rebelling Confederate States to be free. This changed the Civil War from a fight to preserve the Union into a fight for human rights. The Emancipation Proclamation encouraged enslaved people to escape or resist, allowed African Americans to join the Union Army, and shifted global support toward the North. It was a turning point, not just in the war, but in American history. Lincoln's fight for freedom did not end with the Emancipation Proclamation. He pushed for the 13th Amendment, which permanently abolished slavery in every state. According to the U.S. Senate, the amendment was ratified in 1865, ending slavery for more than 4 million Americans. Lincoln did not live to see the full results of his leadership. He was assassinated just days after the Civil War had ended, but his legacy lived on through the rights and freedoms he helped secure. His words, especially in the Gettysburg Address and his second inaugural address, continue to inspire people today. The Liberty of Congress notes that Lincoln's speeches remain some of the most quoted in American history because of their moral clarity and hopeful message about unity. Abraham Lincoln lived in a time of division, hatred, and uncertainty, reminding us that America has struggled before, but he showed us that leadership grounded in honesty, empathy, and courage can guide the nation through its darkest moments. He once said, "In the end, it's not the years in your life, but the life in your years." Lincoln filled his years with purpose, sacrifice, and hope, and because of that, he changed the United States forever.